Welcome to the Block Sauce Gaming Edition, your web show that serves up the juiciest discussions in the world of Web3 and gaming culture. I'm your host and reNFT ambassador, Jinkirin. Today I've got an incredible guest lined up for you guys, so grab your controllers, crack open a Mountain Dew, and prepare to get your game on. Hey there, sauce enthusiasts. It's time to bring the heat with another electrifying episode of the Block Sauce. I'm thrilled to introduce our special guest. We have Nico, the community lead from Tribo Games. How are you doing today, Nico?
Pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation, and it's pretty hot here. I'm based in Germany, so
Oh,
it's it has been a tough day, but I'm really excited to be here talking about our game and the project, and yeah, answering any questions really.
well, I'm glad that you took time out of your day today. As you know, me and you have had a pretty good relationship in Web3, so I'm really happy that we finally get to shed a little bit of light on your game. I know you've been talking about it for a while, but before we jump into the game, obviously I want to know a bit more about Tribo Games and kind of what brought you guys into Web3. Like, where's your history lie with the company?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it has been a very exciting journey, obviously. So we announced Tribal Games in October 2022,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's five co-founders who've I've had the chance to work with in at Flare Games, so a few years ago, and yeah, essentially we were a mobile first Web3 native studio. So we by that what we mean is that we try to we work on our games always thinking about the design, the experience, the look and feel to be mobile optimized in a way, and that is because we have spent each of us 15 to 20 years working mobile games, and that's what we are the strongest at doing. And then essentially we think about our designs with Web3 in mind. So anything that is community centric features, how we can really tap into the potential of Web3, and obviously there is quite a bit of that is relying on just the tech. Using NFTs, and for us it could be okay. That's just tech implementation, but also thinking about the social dynamics to really fuel a lot of the community centrics around the game that we are making. So really thinking about like, okay, what is beyond the technology to really provide fulfilling experiences to players. And the reason we switched to Web3, well, this is really interesting because obviously we spend a lot of years, like I said, working on games as a service in Web2, and I think there is an opportunity here with Web3 and blockchain tech to to revisit things and to try to do things differently for the greater good of the gamers. And our slogan is players deserve better. We really believe in that, in how we can give back to the players supporting our games, and and trying to innovate in ways that we couldn't before, while tapping into a network that it wasn't available to us, or most developers
Mm-hmm.
in Web 2. And there are many other reasons, and this is also always a very exciting time because there are many things that we know, many things that we think we know, and many more things that we have yet to discover. So it's really exciting, and for us it's an opportunity, both as a developer and as a gamer, to elevate games, and to really make them, in a way that really provide new and fulfilling experiences for gamers and communities that want to support good projects. Yeah.
Wow. So you guys are pretty sold on the technology then, it sounds like.
I think we're really excited about the opportunity that Web3 is providing. Definitely, I think there is. I think Sword is Well, I'm a rather realistic person. I think sold will imply that we have figured it out, and
So
everyone
true.
knows what to do. Uh, I I think what I know for sure is that there are opportunities there to innovate in ways that we couldn't before. Um, in the sense that it's accessible to pretty much everyone, and that is really exciting as a game developer, to really, you know use that technology to provide something refreshing, and ideally something that can also drive the industry, like the water industry, to the next stage as well. So I guess, yes, I would say yes, we're pretty sold on the idea of using Web3 tech. But you know me all too well to know that I'm also a very realistic person.
Hmm.
I know that there are many things, many challenges we have yet to discover, and I'm also very excited about those challenges. So but I really like, from my side, because I'm a community developer, I really love the idea of, I mean, I'm completely sold on the idea of how many of the Web3 technologies can help to take social dynamics to the next level, really. And that's really exciting because we can think about so many new ways to revamp so many community centric features that we've had in Web2 games for many, many years, and, you know, take the concept to the next level. And that's exciting, as, people to create something. And I like it. Yeah, definitely.
No, that makes sense. I mean, I kind of feel like Fortnite is kind of showing us there is a want or need, depending on how you look at it, for more community monetization. You see that people are constantly building in that game. We now have esports teams announcing their own game within the Fortnite engine. Um, there is clearly a shift happening, whether it be Web 2 or Web 3. Players feel like their time is just not valued by a lot of these companies. You feel like that's what Web 3 is bringing back to players, giving them some of the value that is actually being generated?
I think so too. Yeah, I think there's an opportunity here to have a deeper relationship with the community that is, supporting games in the long term, that is really fueling how sustainable a game can be. And when you look at, the most successful games on the market right now, even in Web2, you could argue that most of them could have done very well without the community, but none of them could have done extremely well without the community. And when we look at competitive games, for instance, like CS:GO, yeah, sure, it's a game that has been around for 20 years and so on, but it's a great competitive game, but it is the community that took it to the esports scene. There's no such thing as an esport game. And
Preach! Preach! I've been
and
saying it forever. You don't make an
yeah,
esports game, you make a game, and the community will make the esports for it.
absolutely. And but as a developer, you have to be ready to support the initiatives from the community with community centric features like spectator mode and replay system for content creators. And so you can help the journey. You can be part of the journey, but you
Hmm.
cannot. This basically, the legacy of your game is built by the community, right? And so and I think now we have, so Web3, in my opinion, provides two things. It's definitely the technology to actually create more community-centric features that tap into a network that is uh, limitless. There's no limit to it, and that is something that one could argue we could have had it in Web2. And I would argue that, yes, but probably, for a lot of money, and it would have probably been, one studio using it, and
Yep.
very hard to create. And now we have this opportunity to use that. Everyone can use that, which is really great. Um, but I agree with you. There is definitely this opportunity to give back in ways that we can actually recognize people. And there are many developers out there that really want to appreciate and recognize the community. Maybe there are a few bad apples as well, but the fact of the matter is that it's really hard for them to actually have the ways to truly appreciate what they are doing and not take it for granted. And now we have an opportunity to actually change that, to really recognize um, all the personas, not just gamers, but all the personas within your community that take your game to the next level. The people who play it, the people who talk about it, the people who create content around it, the people who play it in a very casual way or in a very hardcore way, and all of that. And the beauty in Web3 is that we're also getting new personas that actually want to be connected with games. Maybe they are not gamers, but they want to support these projects.
Yeah.
And now we have ways to actually be like, okay, we have this. It's really exciting, all of that, to have all of these opportunities. But I agree. I think it's time to actually revamp game as a service and really give back to it's trying to find a good balance in between the community that really keeps your game alive and take it to the next level, and providing a fulfilling experience for those communities that then motivate them to build a legacy for it. Modding is another example. It's quite obvious. No modding in Arma 3, no PUBG,
Yep.
no battle royale game mode, and no battle royale game modes. You look at the past 5 years of the games industry, then it disappears, and all of that is the community. It's just, it sounds really cheesy like this, but like if we already had the technology to recognize that and be like, these guys, they changed the industry. They deserve probably more than what they actually got. In all
Yeah,
fairness.
you're probably right. I mean, I spent many years contributing to StarCraft, the original StarCraft. I used to make maps and modes. Had a bit of a reputation within the community for the maps that I would make. But as you can see, I got nothing from it, right? I wasn't rewarded for my time. I got nothing for contributing to the game other than people, saying, "Oh, good job. I like your map," which that was its own feel good in
Mm.
its own way. But in order for me to be doing that today as an adult with the 9 to 5 job and responsibilities, I'm not contributing to the game unless either A, I really love the game. Like I can't put the game down, I need more, or two, I'm getting compensated for my time so that way there's a reason for me to be doing it. Because I feel like that is something we've lost, not just within Web 2 or Web 3, that just in general is the value of contributions from the community. You've mentioned community multiple times already. Like we've been recording for like 15 minutes, right? So obviously, when it comes to gaming, you're right. Like community is the core, whether it be esports, casual, it doesn't matter. Because well, think about Call of Duty right now, right? Imagine if they only had the pro scene, all the casual players, all the content creators, everybody else never got on board with the game. It was always just esports driven. Do you really think they would be the success that they are today? Probably not. It would be a much more niche audience, a bunch of sweaty tryhards, and you'd basically be looking at something like, like League of Legends, for example. It's got a really bad reputation for toxicity, tryhards, sweats, and your more casual player will jump in, experience that type of community, and be like, no, I'm done. Like, I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to engage with them. So it's kind of interesting to see that these larger games, and I use Call of Duty as a big example for this because you can see it regardless whether you're on Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, does not matter. The community is not happy with the game. And we just saw them announce the shutdown of Warzone 1. All of that money, all of those skins, all those assets, and everything are being removed. And this is a choice by Activision to do this, mind you. CSGO has already proven that they were able to port assets from CSGO 1 into CSGO 2. So this is not a Web3 fixes this issue. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, if these were NFTs, it doesn't matter. This was an internal decision by Activision. They have the assets, they have the databases, they have the proof that all of those skins were purchased. It would have been so easy for them, Web3 or otherwise, to reuse all of those assets. But that's where Web3 does actually fix a problem, in my opinion. And I would like your input on this. If a Web3 game shuts down and all their assets are NFTs, Well, that's basically a receipt saying you purchased X, Y, Z or skin. Another game, whether it be partnered with that game, it falls in the same genre as that game, or whatever the case is, can use those collections and implement them in their own game. You may not get a one for one skin, but I'm still getting something for my original purchase, right? That's something we don't have in Web 2. Do you think that that is technically a solution that Web3 brings, or do you think it's just making a process easier that we could be doing in Web2 already?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question because I think it's not so much like I think we have a tendency of really focusing on the technical limitations of what we know and what we don't know, especially when we compare Web 2 to Web 3. And many would argue like we could do that in Web 2. There are many, publishers who do these cross-game offers and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And I would argue, yes, that's true. But if we wanted to do it at the scale that Web 3 actually offers, then it would be very unlikely because the rarity of things is that a studio or a publisher would create a technology and then they would probably use it for just their portfolio and not actually provide it or make it available to other people. And I think it's not so much can it be done or is this something we could be doing before. It's more for how accessible are those opportunities to actually have an impact on the whole industry. It's always about the same things, right? It's always about like if this technology is actually pretty much something we could have done in Web 2, however, it's available to everyone, then it actually changes the mindset that we have about the possibilities. And to me, Web3 is not so much about trying to fix a problem that we don't have. It's actually about providing opportunities that realistically speaking, we couldn't really have in Web 2. So it's definitely a shift of mindset fueled by a world of opportunities. And I think this is really important as well because we are adding a lot of diversity in what we can do within the industry through Web3. To me, it's not just always about like ownership and like we talked about, like, make sure that we give back to the players because they have this and they own it and so on. To me, that's a result of the technology. But the
Yep.
mindset is here in the first place. You could use the same Web3 technology and actually say, I don't want anyone else to use this. If the game shuts down, this is it. You could already do that if you wanted to. But the fact of the matter is that we're actually getting tired of that. We want to change because this change is bringing the diversity we need to actually provide more fulfilling experiences in and out of the game. And that's also, again, the power of community. The power of community is being connected to a game without being in the game. And with Web3, we're adding a massive network effect to that we couldn't
Yep.
before. Because nobody would have said, hey, we have so much money that we created this technology that we want everyone to use. And that's the major difference, in my opinion. So, yes, I do hope we see more. I mean, the games industry is very harsh, right? It's very competitive. Let's face
Oh
it.
yeah.
There'll be many projects where it could be like, okay, this we can't support this project anymore. It's time to move on. But the assets could be reused in another game that we are making or another game that someone is making. And there are actually incentives to do that because one could argue, well, if the collection is used elsewhere, maybe it's fueling the royalties and that kind of jazz. So if we're really thinking from like a business perspective, I could really imagine a lot of opportunities there where people are like, okay, there is always a way to actually continue using this in the way that we're happy. But yeah, for me, it's the fact that we can really work on integration in a more interesting way, and that's something I also want to talk about when we'll be talking about our game is the opportunities that we have to do right by the players, but also to do more for the players in ways we couldn't before. And I think I hope to see more conversations around that in the next 2 to 3 years between people who are still in Web 2 and people who
Mm-hmm.
have been in Web 3 for a long time, people who are thinking about switching, and really, have interesting in constructing conversations about like what's the cool stuff that we could do and take a minor approach to that. Yeah. Yeah.
Nah, I'm all about new ideas. I've even told people like, hey, single player games could find a spot within Web3, and everybody's like, well, how do you mix Web3 into a single player game? Well, I'm a retro collector. We buy a bunch of physical collections of retro games. Well, think about it. If you had NFT that tracks how much you played the game, how frequently you play the game, not only are these metrics that developers could use, but it also you can have an NFT that degrades. So somebody who's played that game like absolutely insane amount of time can degrade it to a really low quality, right? And that
Yeah.
opens up your rarity market. Well, me as a collector, I want the most pristine condition, least played, rarest one I can find, right?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
and everybody's like, well, then you have to you only have limited access to the game. Hello, that's been done for years. It's called limited run games. That's the actual name of the publisher, and that is their entire shtick is they only publish X amount of physical copies of said games. And
Yeah.
because they do that, on Switch there's a game called Green Hell. It's available on the eShop for like $10 or something like that if I remember correctly. But if you want a physical version of that game, you're probably going to be paying at least $150 because there was only I think they said 100 of those ever ran.
Yeah.
So the concepts of Web3 are not new. These are not by any means like new ideas. We're just trying to figure out how to implement them in a way that is not predatory. That's the big thing because there's a lot of
Hmm.
stigma obviously with Web3 and we've seen some projects kind of take a predatory route. But two, it needs to actually have a value. That I feel like a lot of projects are like, oh, it's just a skin. Well, you don't need NFTs to enable buying and selling skins. You don't. You don't need Web3. We've seen it in CS:GO. It happens all the time. So I'm with you 100%. Like we need to find unique use cases to really bring in the community and get them more engaged and more involved beyond just I'm holding a skin.
I think that there's definitely. I think we need to be fair and realistic on expectations as well. I
True.
think it there is no to me there is no right or wrong way of doing it, but there is also definitely are you doing right by the player or are you trying to squeeze every penny out of them? And you could argue. I mean, NFTs for skins make sense.
It
Now, is it
does.
like a $1 NFT or is it like you know a $200,000? And then you personally, was it the price set by the studio or was it a price set by the community over time? And you personally, as a gamer who's actually willing to buy it, are you okay with that price tag? So like we need to also understand that I guess a lot of the conclusions we are trying so hard to make so early, they are also driven by a lot of personal take that actually don't drive the conversations to the right direction, in my opinion. But I think it's really important to understand like we know little about what we could be doing. So I think it's really important to remember that there are a lot of ways to use the technology, and it's not all about mass adoption. And it's not all about, so we need to be very realistic about it. There will be
How dare
games.
you? No, no, you're canceled. Canceled.
Well,
The interview's
what I was
canceled. You're canceled. Tribo Games
can
is
it,
canceled.
can it,
No, they
everyone
said they
unfollow.
said they're not for mass adoption, guys.
Well, I mean, what I would say, I've been thinking about that. If Web3 was a solution for mass adoption for a game, everyone would be doing it right now.
Yep,
And that's the hard truth. Web3 is not going to guarantee mass adoption. The game itself will. But Web3
exactly.
is not a solution to mass adoption. So, yeah, I think we need to think really hard about that. Maybe we should have another podcast about this. But I've been reading a lot of that on Twitter. Like, we need to fix this so that Web3 is mass adopted. I'm like, I think yes, to a certain extent, but if it was a solution for a game, old game, to be to be mass adopted, guaranteed all the giants in Web 2 will be like, yep, okay, we do that now.
I mean,
Fuck
some
it.
studios are slowly making their way over here. I mean, Ubisoft recently announced their foray. I mean, they've obviously dabbled in it in the past, but now they've officially announced a game. So
Yeah,
I think it's a matter of time, and I think as more legitimate projects come out and are showcasing gameplay, the bigger companies are noticing, and they're like, "Oh, they're actually we might be able to use this somewhere, right?" And they're slowly but
yeah,
surely jumping on board. So 100%, I think you're right. It's just a matter of time. I'm right there with you. I don't think every single person that I've gone to in Web 2, right? Every gamer I've gone to, and I'm like, hey, check out this Web 3 game. They're like, well, what's Web 3? And then I explain it. They're like, no, I'm not interested. But if I'm like,
yeah,
hey, what about this game? Like, I don't say Web
yeah,
3, I don't mention any of that. I'm just like, hey, what about this game? They watch the trailer, like, oh, that looks kind of cool. I want to play it. They
yeah,
don't care about technology. It's like when you're using email and you send me an email. I'm not asking you, are you using Gmail? Are you using Outlook? No, I just want email to work. I get my email, I send you email back and forth. We don't care if it's IMAP or POP3. We don't care if it's TLS or nobody cares about the technology. They want the service to work and they want it to work well and they want to like it, right?
yeah.
So if you're putting out a game and you're taking a Web 2 game and slapping Web 3 on it thinking you're going to find success, I I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there is a specific game that comes to mind when I'm thinking about all this, and it's an MMO. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to drop the name, but they failed twice in Web 2. They have literally launched the same game twice in Web 2 and it did
Mm,
not do well. They went over to Web 3, they've added NFTs to it, and they're like, "Look guys." And the sad part is I have to give them credit that in terms of Web 3 at least, they're one of the
mm.
top MMOs in Web 3. But I still don't see it saving the game for a third time.
It's it's very interesting because all of this we're learning a lot, and this is what I like so much about it is and you have you have to appreciate how like the courage of developers as well to try everything. And
True.
I think this is a great example of trying to do right by the players who believe in that project. This is really cool. But
Uh-huh.
I think like I see a lot of misconception about like Web3 is not going to deliver mass adoption of every game,
Nope.
because if if we knew that was the case, everyone would be using it right now. And um, it's not about that. But I mean, we are trying to make a game that is designed to be ready for mass adoption, right?
Mhm.
But getting there is a completely different process, right? But yeah, I think it's important to understand there are many other ways to use the technology. It's just technology at the end of the day.
Mhm.
um but I will and I will finish on that before we talk about the game. But I will say that for me, and I've talked about that before, because I think it will reset a lot of expectations.
Yep.
um, Mass adoption, we need more developers. Definitely, we need more people, and the giants will get there. They will be interested at some point. They will make the switch. But I think it's quite important to realize that we have been here before. It's not the first time that the technology is being absorbed by the games industry. It's not the games industry moving into Web3. It's Web3 moving into the games industry. And with that would come a whole new set of expectations on how are NFTs supposed to be performing from an acquisition side of things, from a floor price side of things, a lot of different things. And I think this is really important to. I think that the space within the next 2 to 3 years, with the giants coming and adopting and trying to do this and being like, okay, we understand how the tech works, but this is how we're gonna be doing this. It's gonna be really cold. I think it's gonna be a big shift, and we need to be ready for that. I think we need to be ready for these expectations. The
True.
space needs to change and mature so that it becomes sustainable. and so that so that we can actually continue on our mission to deliver great games for gamers utilizing Web3 technologies. But expectations, we can't look at Web3 as just one single space.
No,
Right?
100%.
It's really important. Yeah.
Well, well,
I
I
was just
saw
about
some
to
hand
say.
movements.
I was like, anyway, I've talked too much.
I was about to say, well, we've talked about company and speculation and thoughts on the technology. How about we actually get to the game?
Yes, finally.
All right.
I've been hearing, like win game
Yep.
in the YouTube comments.
All right. Well, we got the game right here.
Yes, Rumble Arcade, yeah. This is
So,
it.
yep, and this is playable at play.rumblearcade.io. Now, my question is, obviously
Mhm.
you had to hook me up with some access. If somebody did not have special access and wanted to play right now, what do they need to do?
So right now, you're right. It's only for people like content creators and so on to have early access to the system we are going to use for the upcoming closed alpha playtest. So from July the 20th to the 26th, we are going to do a closed playtest for people to try the game and compete and discover this game and win free Ramblers NFTs. So they are the champions we use. I'll get it into that later. And it's all like leaderboard based in a way. So right now there are a few collab giveaways. You can participate in those to win an alpha spot. But in a few days, so shortly before July the 20th, we're gonna have a public registration, and people can register to win a spot and access the playtest for the 7 days. Yeah. So right
Interesting.
now it's not playable. You can't just like join the Discord and just play it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the idea is that it would be WebGL, so you can play through web browser. It works pretty well on desktop. It works on several mobile devices, but it's mostly optimized on desktop for now. And yeah, so you just use your Discord account to log in, and as long as it has the role, it's you're in basically. Yeah, it just loads the game. Yeah.
Okay. And I do see a list of rumblers already, so I'm assuming you guys are going to continue expanding and iterating on the character roster.
Yeah, absolutely. So for context, essentially, the players that build this team of ramblers. So you have to build a team of 8 ramblers, but once you're in a battle, you can only put 5 on the battlefield. And you have a choice of, like, right now we have 14 different ramblers, but the idea is that the game is going to be content rich, both in terms of ramblers, but also in terms of live ops. And the reason for that is what content is king. Obviously, it provides a lot of opportunities for people to have a lot of fun, and the idea that we have is this game is laid back by default. You can really play it, really easily and so on. But you can really dive into the tactical aspect of the game, and each Rambler has different play style, different abilities. Some of like initiatives, some are like passive abilities, cooldown, and so on. Each have like a set of upgrades as well, and then some of them have they can feel very strong um in some situations, but also certainly very weak the next round because you're
Yep.
facing a player that actually has a setup that is just maybe not the most legendary ramblers, but just a combination of ramblers that just works better, and a combination of upgrades that just works better. And the idea is that you can really dive into these battles, and it's like rapid fire. You can spend 5 minutes to play. The game is async multiplayer, so you don't have to wait for a long time to find players. And essentially, the game matches you against teams made by other players, and you're facing their teams um, the way they were on the round that you're at. So basically, you are battle 4. You're facing the team that I built and that I used when I was at battle 4. And yeah, so basically, players participate in those events that we call rumbles, and you go through series of battles, and each round is a mix between tactical, so you deploy, You use actions to collect more Rambler cards and upgrade them and so on. And then you try to win the battles. And basically, when you switch to battle mods, it's kind of like auto battler. So you witness basically all you have to do is like lay back and just like witness your Ramblers doing their thing and so on. You can play a little bit with the the team setup and so on. But the idea is that you can really switch in between tactical phase and then battle phase, tactical phase, battle phase really quickly. And you can play for 5-10 minutes, but you can also play for like hours over the weekend if you want. And we were talking about mass adoption earlier. That's kind of like a lot of these things, the way we are designing, Rumble Arcade. All of that, there's nothing really random. The game is designed to be mobile first in the sense that the look and feel, the slick and clean graphics of the Ramblers to be, like you can remember them. They are iconic, but they're also easy. It's easy to understand what's going on. It's not slow with a lot of animations. It's snappy and so on, but also the controls and the UI, everything is made for mobile, but also optimized for cross-platform. And the session, so that rapid fire, you jump in between tactical phase and battle phase and so on. This is very mobile friendly as well. You
Yeah.
have you need to have fun really quick. You need to feel like that satisfying experience of playing Rumble Arcade, really quickly, and you really want to get back into it really quickly. And that's the idea with this game. We want people to really have fun really quickly, but we also want them to, as they are having fun already, think about like, okay, how could I have fun using different rumblers and trying different combination, and so each of them have different upgrades, and so you can see you have actions. So every round you have 2 actions,
Yep.
and you have those random cards coming from the side, and then every time you collected 3 cards for the same Rambler, you get an upgrade basically, and you can go up to level 5 in this event. And basically it's kind of like a roguelike, right? So if you come back to the menu, you will lose those levels.
Yeah.
But you have to decide on like, okay, what's the best way to make this Rambler the best asset of my team, but also don't know what the other teams will have. You can play, so you can put them back on the bench as well. So yeah, if you go for the witch doctor there, you're gonna have her going to level 1 right away because you have 3
Yeah.
cards and so on. So there is like these fun aspects, these little decisions that are not too complicated, but also kind of like, okay, that's, if I go for that, it's satisfying already. But if I don't go for it and I want to do something else, I'm also satisfied with that choice.
Yeah.
So trying to find this balance for the players, and we talk a lot about like, okay, the game needs to be fun. The game needs to be fun. It sounds kind of cheesy when we say it a lot of time, but the way we are designing things is that way. It's really trying to think about like, okay, let's put ourselves in the shoes of the players, and like, how do you get into this fun but also fulfilling experience? So the idea is that we have more Ramblers over time, and some of them would be more complex than others. Some would be very basic, and each of those Ramblers have a different rarity, and essentially the rarity will define the scarcity at the NFT level within the community. So the game will be free to play, but the way
Ooh.
we are designing access to the NFTs is that the incentive of having NFTs is not through a clear pay to win aspect, basically. So you can earn NFTs, but not at the expense of the players who prefer staying in the free to play world. And essentially, it's more about I want to experience a variant version of what I had in the free to play world, basically. Um, so our economy lead, Arto, and our designer Boha, they think a lot about like this kind of stuff for long time before we say this is something we think we like and could work. So yeah, so right now for the playtest, everyone will have access to all of the different Ramblers. But over time, it could be that legendaries and so on are less, that you find them less often. when you participate in rumbles. But for the playtest, so the rumblers will be the rewards, and you can win even the legendary rumblers,
Ooh.
and there will be rewards based on leaderboards. So every day there will be a rumble. So like one of these events that you're playing right now with a leaderboard, with a ticket system, and you're trying to get basically to have like top one if you're a pro gamer like me. No, I'm kidding. I'm not that good at the game. I'm not that great at the game. But you seem to be doing way better than me, by the way. So I think I have to worry once the playtest is live. All those 20 pro gamers, look at them. You're doing pretty well, seriously. um,
I have a
and
lot of experience with auto battlers. I've played pretty much all of them. Auto chess, team fight tactics.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't
it,
know.
it,
Something about these. They're fun for me in bursts. And that's
yeah,
why I'm glad that you mentioned that, like, this is clearly formatted for mobile. We got a vertical, layout and everything, which normally on
yes,
this show everything is more PC oriented. So we got the 16 by 9. Um,
yeah.
this is something I could see myself literally just sitting on the couch having a go at. Like, TV's playing in the background. I'm gonna be playing this.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we had a little fun lately. We did it internally. We did a little tournament, and we realized that we left the game on the tab, running in the background, and we went back and forth and so on. So it really is for that. But at the same time, if you want to really dive into the complexity of the tactical aspect of the game, each think about like, okay, what makes sense in terms of like, like there are tanks that provide frenzy and armor, and like would those ramblers work best with other ramblers? You can try to optimize your strategies like this. It doesn't mean that there is meta that will always like
Yeah.
guarantee victory. um, because that's something we want to do as well. It's like there is not, you can have like the legendary ramblers, they can be very powerful on their own. When you look at them on their own, they can be very powerful with another set of ramblers. They can win quite a few rounds, but it's not like they will always win them.
Yeah.
You could face other teams that have a different setup that actually completely like destroy you. And I think that's really important to keep the game fresh in terms of experience as well. At least when it comes to content with the ramblers. But when we talk about like, because I was mentioning earlier, we want the game to be very live ops rich as well, like event rich. Um, right now, what you're experiencing is a version of a rumble. But the amount of actions you have or the conditions of how the rumble is playing could also be tweaked. So this is something that over time we want to dive into, like how can we as a studio provide different experiences. Like you can take a break for 6 months, there could be the same amount of ramblers, however they are completely new set of events that make you feel that the game is really worth diving into again. And we talked about ownership earlier, and think this is for us a way to really make sure that when players want to own rambler NFTs, they know that there are many ways for us and for them to use those NFTs in many different fun ways. And in terms of like pure Web3 world, there are many opportunities for people to justify the value of NFTs through the way you're playing with them and so on. So you're a content creator, so I also like the idea of like, hey, you can be talking about a lot of different things about Rumble Arcade, the Ramblers on their own, how they work best with other Ramblers, the kind of strategy and deployment you want to use. But you don't have to really, break your brain, and try and be like, okay, I need to have a PhD to play this game. I just want to have fun. And this is really important. Let's have fun. Um,
I'm definitely getting
so
fun out of this. I mean, so there's,
yeah,
it looks
you're
simple. It looks really simple, but there is actually multiple levels of strategy here because you have to figure out, is it worth upgrading this rumbler or this one in this round? Do I need to
yeah.
move where they're positioned currently? Like I just realized my archer at the start of the fight is launching javelin straight up
Yes,
and
she does.
it's
Yeah,
not hitting anything. So obviously I need to move her. Um,
Yeah,
positioning, leveling, the RNG from did I even draw a rumbler I need this round?
yeah.
This is good. And
But
the replayability I think is what's going to matter most. You know, you mentioned metas and stuff like that. And
yeah,
honestly, I think that has been my turn off to other auto battlers is the fact that 9 times out of 10 there is a hard stuck meta, and if you do not follow it, you can't really remain competitive. You're not going to be a top 1%er unless you stick with
yeah.
that meta.
Yeah, exactly. I play a lot of competitive games. I'm really sweaty and I really get angry when the meta is not followed. But this game is like, for me to chill really. But I think what's really important is that you own your own strategy. And I know like this term has been used a lot, but I don't mean it as in like you own it in terms of like
Yeah.
technical ownership. I mean it in terms of like you decide on your play style, you own your play style and your strategies, you define how much fun you can have with this game. The tools are there for you to have a lot of fun, and there is no limitation to what that can be.
Hmm.
But we're also very excited about hearing, once we do the playtest and hearing from the community how much more fun this game could have. Actually, we were talking about like the power of community, and this is when like the community starts with the developers defining the foundation of the long-term legacy of what that game can be in terms of like, okay, what's the fun, how can we have a lot of fun and good memories playing this game. Um, and the way we are thinking about it as well is, talking about Web3 a little bit, like the integration, these events, like we also design them in a way that they don't have to be ours all the time. They can be community owned as well, in the sense that in long term, what we want is like you can go and have like your, reNFT or your Jinkirin, tournament or Rambler with your own set of rules, with your
Yeah.
own ways of engaging with your community. And that can be true for like, so close, but you did so well. Oh my god, like it's amazing. Like Battle 19, I think like you would have switched to boss mode because you do have to lose at some point. That is
Exactly.
but you
I'm
did
also learning
extremely
the
well.
the different characters and finding what I do and don't like in
Yeah.
terms of composition and stuff like that. So this is good learning.
Yeah, and I mean, like you like the enemy team right now has Sterling. Sterling is he's not like the character that is going to deal max damage. However, his upgrades are mostly about giving you extra actions. Yeah,
Ah,
the bad assassin is absolutely, yeah. So we have a lot of fun as well. So the idea is like these characters, the way they look, it's a clean and slick graphic styles, but the character themselves, you can easily recognize them. You can understand what they do more or less by just looking at them. Are they ranged? Are they tanky? Are they a bit weird? Like doing fancy abilities and so on. um oh, nice, that last javelin there.
yep.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, that's yeah, you win this one.
Easy, easy
Yeah,
peasy. So
pretty
obviously,
easy.
I'm seeing that the rumblers are these little tokens right now. Is that subject to change? Are you guys gonna have actual character models?
I mean, I think for now, like we like the simplicity of those assets, because it's really easy to understand how it's going on. What's going on the screen. So we like that very much. It's like in terms of like, is it becoming or will it become 3D characters or something like this at this stage? I don't want to say no. You never know. But I think the advantage we have, like the benefit of this art style as well, is because we've been thinking about like, okay, in terms of collaboration as well, we can have a lot of quickly producing assets. And like we can have a new Rumbler every week if we wanted to. That's the how content reach, and how easily we can support the game with this direction that we have taken with that.
Yeah.
So it has both like benefits in terms of gameplay, because it makes things easy. You have to imagine you're playing this on a much smaller screen, or you don't have the time to see all the animations all the time. this works in our opinion, better. But also, like, if we want to work on, let's say, hey, let's do a content creator tournament, you're part of it, and the reward is like a content creator collection in this game. Let's say
Hmm.
you win, we can have we could work on the Rumble arcade-ish Rambler mixed with Jinkirin style, and we can do that in a week. We could have it in a week, and
Ooh.
that is something that is really important as well, because we are going for free to play game, and we are going for sure the platform that is the biggest in the world, mobile. But we also, like, it's important to remember that game as a service is also, we need to be able to provide, we need to be able to keep providing fulfilling and original and refreshing experiences to our players. And so we've set this game, we've designed this game to be ready for that. So yeah, I think for now we probably stay, but yeah, we love to have hear more from more players, obviously, and that's the thing. Once we have the playtest, and we'll have more people
Yeah.
taking us out of our development bubble.
So
And
when are you
yeah.
guys estimating that playtest will be available?
So in about a week. So we are
Oh,
just for context, we are July the 11th, and so in next week, from the 20th to the 26th, that will be the first play test. So first opportunity for people to play the game, first opportunity for people to win free Ramblers NFTs that we would airdrop to the winners at a later stage, so they will already know what they win and so on. Or
yeah.
Flamey holders as well, which was like the VIP collection we have at Tribo Games will also earn extra rewards as well. And yeah, so it's like 7 days, but we will have a multiple playtest as well. We'll have closed playtest, and we are thinking about having like more like rapid fire open playtest, potentially for everyone to play the game. Maybe no reward or something like this, but for everyone to actually playtest the game or something like that. So we're really, really flexible on what we can do. Yeah, yeah. But we definitely want to have meaningful changes in between major playtests, so that we can also focus our feedback rounds, and really have the time to implement, have the time to adapt to the feedback, take it into
Yeah.
consideration, and implement meaningful changes for our supporting community to to see how the game is evolving, and being able to provide constructive feedback. Yeah. You're doing pretty well. Less than
Uh
before, but the bad assassin is carrying it. Like, he's doing a pretty good job as well.
yeah, I had that one round that I lost. I thought I had it in the bag, but that sniper managed to come out and save their whole team.
Yeah. So the way him, and so you can have, like, so the highwayman, you can have an upgrade. So you're choosing those upgrades. So you see, you cannot unlock everything. So each Rambler has like a limited set of
Yeah.
upgrades. You cannot have them. So if you, on one of the Ramblers that you put on the field, if you
Oh,
click and hold, it will. You cannot sell your units here. But if
dang
you
it.
if you oopsie.
Yep, mistakes were made.
uh, is this going to be a victory though? I think, let's see. Like, let's see if
Oh,
you win this.
he
Oof.
rammed me.
Oh,
It's gonna be close. It's gonna be
it's going
close.
to be
No, I think
close.
I got it. I think I got it.
Yeah. So even though you made a mistake, you still won, and this is a great example of how laid back the game can be. You made a mistake, or you felt like you made a mistake, but you're still kind of like getting away with it and having fun. And I wanted
Not
to say
wrong.
earlier, you realized that you had to move your Javelina. It's the name of the one throwing the javelin at the beginning of the
Yep.
match. Only super late you were like, I should move her because she misses all the time. But you were doing very well, even though you didn't know it. And again, this is a great example of how the game can be laid back, but you can really dive into this tactical depth of the game and trying to make a difference with that. But we don't want people to overthink, like, hey, okay, am I placing my ramblers at the right place and so on? Am I using the golden number here? No, no, we want people to have fun. We want people to have fun quick. We want people to retry and experiment with the different rumblers and so on. So if you reach the boss mode, that would be pretty cool.
I did my first round. I feel like I might need to go back to the rumblers I was using for that one because I am on the struggle bus now.
It's but you're using the same team, right? This is the same team that you used before.
Well, I'm using different rumblers, but yes, it's the same
It's the same deck.
full,
Yeah, it's the
yeah,
same
the
build.
same deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a bit of a, I guess, randomness and roguelike aspect to the game. It's kind of like a mix between, but wow, that was like flawless victory there.
Yeah,
You absolutely wrecked them.
I got this one right here that's summoning me skeletons now, and I love it.
Yeah. So if you just did it, so if you click and hold it on those ramblers you placed on the battlefield, you can see the list of upgrades that you have and those you cannot have anymore. And and yeah, you have to make choices, but it doesn't make you feel like terribly bad.
Yeah. And all the choices
Oh,
are pretty fair anyway, so it's not like it's more of a play style thing than one is better than the other.
yeah, and you could have a. I don't think you're not even using any legendary rumblers right now. By the way,
Nope.
you're using very common and uncommon ramblers,
I'm
and you're
using the
doing
starter
very
deck. Let's
well.
go,
Yeah,
boys.
and you're doing very, very well. So it shows you that every rambler in the game is useful. Every rambler in the game is fun to play with, and
Yep.
to us, that's the foundation of an economy that can work very well in Web3. And it's thinking about like, okay, the fun is there, the stability can be there, and who drives what defines the value of NFTs is many things, and also the way you're playing with them. You could go like on the Rumbler Arcade Discord and be like, hey, so this is what I'm using, this is how I'm playing them, I want to sell my NFTs who is interested, and this is what I've achieved with them. You could go there, and they are like completely common and uncommon NFTs, and it doesn't. Obviously, there is no guarantee on the actual value that it could be. But what is important is that you can define, as a gamer, you can define what they are
Oh,
worth and how to play. It's very close. Oh my god, you're gonna win it anyway. Oh
that
gosh,
was close.
that was very close. They are using, so you need to be careful about like duplicator, because when duplicator, the guy, like the really funny guy, like, when it's upgraded, it can become really tough to actually kill them because they are becoming more than you are, and they can do a lot of damage. So, but you're doing very well because so you have a lot of like rapid fire damage, so it really helps you to deal with. Oh,
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 we wrecked
no,
each other.
yeah.
I got this though. Yeah, I got this.
Yeah, the one that was coming towards you, the Doom engine, it's kind of like a crazy train going to random places and creating chaos. That's a legendary Rambler, and it got absolutely wrecked by Javelina at the beginning. That was really well placed.
Axe hit
Yeah,
twice. That sounds good.
I didn't
Play.
mention, but this is an alpha version, by the way. Like,
Yep.
we didn't talk much about that, but like to us, we spent the past few months, like we announced Tribo Games in October 2022, and then at some point, we're like, okay, let's settle on this idea, and now we're here, excited to announce the game, and yeah, it's because Bassassin is carrying your team also big time. It's always so close to die, but
I
gosh,
am loving this. Like this is the kind of strategy that I want in my games because there's on top of what I was talking about earlier where you got the multiple decisions, you also
yeah,
have to kind of anticipate and predict your opponent's playstyle. Obviously, like
yeah,
my Javelina, for example, having her right here, if I keep her
yeah,
here every single time, my opponent can be like, oh, I'm going to move them out of the center so they don't get hit by her.
yeah.
So, but what if I move her finally and they move at the same time? Now we're
Yeah.
playing a game of cat and mouse.
Yeah. So this is very interesting because like one could argue, how could you make good use of her if you don't know where the opponents will be?
Ooh.
Oh, nice. Nice, nice. You one more upgrade and you're making your way to the ultimate. So once you're level 5 with your Rambler, you unlock the ultimate, which is for Kelvin. You basically freeze the entire battlefield at the beginning of the match
Ooh.
for a few seconds. Yeah,
So I need to get
yeah, yeah,
him to level
yeah.
5.
I think you will. You
I don't
will. I
know.
can't
We're
be,
getting
you're
close.
you're doing so well. It's mind blowing how well many of the content creators that I've had early access to the game are doing. I'm feeling so bad that I'm terrible at this game, I guess. But it's great because like you haven't played this game before today, and
Nope.
and I'm really impressed how you never know as a developer what's going to happen when someone plays for the first time. But I'm really impressed by how like you adapted to the gameplay. Oh, you're doing it
Oh,
again.
no way.
You're
Here we
so
go.
lucky. Ice Age. There you go. And now they're straight at the beginning they freeze. Yeah. So
Okay.
so you're not gonna get any cards for Kelvin anymore.
Yep.
But there you go. So it doesn't like last a lot, but it's enough for you to have the initiative to run them. And now like I think you're gonna have an easier time absolutely destroying
Wow.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Holy
really powerful.
moly.
Like, yeah, yeah. I mean, they're all amazing. So like, I mean, it's funny because I like playing with completely different ramblers. Like, I like they have Warhorn. Warhorn gives you frenzy, so you shoot faster and so. Boy,
Ah, he's
amazing.
got that shield.
Oh, he's got the shield. Yes, this is see. Oh, this is. Oh,
Oh,
but
oh.
nice.
We might still bring it back.
You. I think you're gonna win this one again.
Oh, it's gonna
Oh,
be
oh,
close.
that's really close. No, but Kevin
Yes.
has the nice.
This is so
You're getting
cool.
into the boss mode. Yeah, definitely.
This is the boss mode. Let's
Yeah.
go.
So now you're playing against a pre-made teams. Yeah. So these are only AI, and basically it gets harder and harder until you can't anymore. Basically, right? So we're trying to also avoid like tactics that basically make you win like all the time.
Yeah.
So at some point you will lose at some point, but nice. Oh yeah. Oh
Oh, he
the,
charged the
the the
right one
charge from
too.
Stein. Yeah, the charge from Stein at the beginning.
Oh, my poor werewolf. He keeps changing. He's confused.
Yeah.
This is
Assassin
great.
is very fun. You're doing like yeah. Let's see what they have after that.
So, what inspired you guys to make something like this?
Oh my god, that's a really cool question. What inspired? I think a lot of different, a lot
Uh-oh.
of different things. I
Uh-oh.
think. Oh,
Oh, we in trouble now. Yep, we in
oh, that's
trouble.
a lot. Yeah, this is it. This is it.
Ah,
This is it. 2006. So if you go back to the menu, you can actually see the leaderboard. So
I
where is it?
didn't
I
play a
think
ranked
always
one.
called. Oh, was it? Oh, okay, okay. But
I
so
gotta beat Gaspode.
yeah, so Gaspard has like way too many points. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. This is the so this is one of the there will be a playtest. There will be a playtest leaderboard. So this is what you see right now. So the accumulation of all your points for 7 days and so on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so I mean, for us, it's also the way we're working on games. So we worked on a lot of very successful free to play games in the past. Stuff like Plant vs Zombies 1 and 2, Angry Bird and whatnot. So it's thinking about like the players and what makes sense for the players, what makes sense for the industry we are trying to go after, what makes sense for the format we are trying to have. So mobile first and so on, and really trying to have like our pillars is like it's laid back by default and so on, and trying to forge a game around the experience that we want to provide to the players. So it's kind of an odd approach to it, and the inspiration, I guess, games like Archero, team for TFTs and so on. Like these games. I guess you could describe the game as a good mix between RTO and TFT in a way. Auto chess or something like that. But yeah, these games that have like a lot of a lot of fun, that you can get into really quickly, but a lot of strong replayability, definitely. But we've had like a lot of other ideas. Yeah. You know, your industry for like 20 years, like there are many things that you have so many ideas that at some point it's just you have to decide on something, right? But yeah, tons of ideas for the future for this game as well. Yeah, yeah, it's an
I'm
iPhone.
enjoying it so far. I mean, auto battlers aren't typically my kind of game, but something
I've
about
heard.
this is different. It's the same but
Yeah.
different.
So now this is a really good point because we definitely try to defy what you see already. To redefine but also defy what in the industry. We don't want to be like the next this game or this game in Web3 or this
Yeah.
giant. We want to be like, okay, that there are inspirations obviously, but we've tried to innovate here and there to in a way that makes sense, and then in a way that also provide fulfilling experiences. But maybe people like you are like, okay, auto battler not really my thing, but this format actually makes it a little bit more appealing. I'm gonna dive into that, and this is building the foundation for a game that has more, the more chances to go for mass adoption in the mid to long term. It's trying to be like, okay, what's the good mix? What's the good mix to get there? Yeah.
So you said that next week is when you're aiming for the actual playtest?
Yeah, correct. July the 20th to the 26th. Yeah, correct.
And if people want to play, I don't. Uh, if people want to get in on that playtest, do they just join the Discord,
Yes.
or is that one going to be public? Oh, I may have just
Few moments later.
Come back. No, I was just trolling you. I actually put a white paper in front of my camera. No, I'm kidding. So the best place right now. So the steps would be as follows: like be on our Discord, then register. There will be a campaign in a few days to register. It would be a super fine link. So it's the tool we use for that, where you can register with your Discord ID and so on. And then if you get selected, then the system would give you the role you need to load the game. Once the playtest has started and you have the role, then it's as easy as starting a web browser, logging in with your Discord account, and then the game loads and you play. You don't need to download anything. It's pretty stable. It's pretty optimized on desktop. It's not fully optimized on a lot of mobile devices, but our focus is mostly desktop for now. Yeah, computer. So I would highly recommend everyone to actually be on our Discord and to follow us on Twitter for now, because in a few days we would actually share the link to register for the public raffle in a way to get access to the playtest, and we'll be rather generous. So right, it's not like we'd be like, okay, 25 people and this is it. No, we'd be rather generous with how many people we want to get. Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, that begs the next question. So when do you guys expect that there will be a mobile app available?
Oh, that's
Obviously, estimates.
I think and it's really hard with estimates because that implies a date, and we all know how that goes with dates. I think in terms of milestones, I think once we have a little bit more of the foundation regarding the in-game economy, regarding game modes, and a few more things regarding the rumbles, so modifiers and so on, I think then we might consider that's a good foundation to actually invest into resources into having an actual app. But the beauty with having the game on desktop right now through WebGL is that we can quickly work on the iterations, and we can quickly react to feedback because we don't have any submission process. So but I think within the next year or so, I think it would be I think realistic for us to think more seriously about like, okay, are we ready? Do we have anything we want? But I think those three foundations and probably a few more things are definitely kind of
Yeah.
like required to, it makes sense to have those in place, to go for an app version. But for now, we want to keep it as stress-free as possible for people to actually get in. But I think what we're going to do is probably work a bit more on the optimization of the web browser version so that you can play more on mobile phone, but you don't need to go through an app store for now or something like that. Yeah. Definitely.
Awesome. Do you have any alpha you can share with us? I mean, obviously we got the playtest next week, but is there any other big announcements or plans coming up?
I mean, we have a lot of ideas, No, I think I give everything. I use all my cards. Oh my god. No, but I think like we have a lot of ideas in terms of community activities that are really, that we thought really about like, okay, what makes it? We are making a game that also with three elements, so really preparing for that. So you see, there are like tribes, for instance, like teased into the game. So there is something related to that. So there is like a whole like complex system around that to really kind of like tap into the full potential of the community and especially think about Web3 personas as well. But me personally, I'm also very excited to think about like, okay, how could we, organize, like we could start organizing, thinking about like content creator tournaments and like how jazz and community tournaments, for instance. And, because the rumbles are really designed in a way to be themed in a way. So we could
Yeah.
have the Jinkirin community versus the Gaspot community and see who wins. I kind of just so we're already thinking about this kind of stuff, and we've designed the game to support this kind of this level of ambition to be more than just like branded, but also part of potentially the economy and the world, like people being connected through NFTs and so on. So yeah, I'm really excited about that as well. But all the alphas are mostly around the playtest at this stage. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm both excited and scared about it, obviously, but it's super exciting to give the game to the community and see how they play, see what they think, and their ideas as well on how the game could be better. But also, we have ideas on things that we want to add to the game, but then we are remaining extremely flexible on what we would be getting, from the community as well. And that's why, like stuff like public roadmap and so on, we're being
Mhm.
very cautious about that because the expectations that we want to guarantee, if any, is that we want to be able to do right by the players, and that includes being able to react to feedback that we are getting. And that means, like reacting to the feedback, but postponing a date, something we said we would have done,
Of
then
course.
we'd rather postpone and do right by the players. Yeah, for sure.
Which I wish more Web2 studios would do, but I digress. That's a whole nother topic.
Another podcast.
Yep, there we go.
Another
Talking
podcast for
about
sure.
releasing too soon.
For sure. But I mean, yeah, I'm excited. But no more alphas at this stage. Yeah, we've said quite a bit. Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed the game. I didn't know what to expect going into this. I know we've talked in the past, and you kind of kept the whole premise close to chest, and I've been cautiously like, oh, is this going to be another game to kind of sneak onto my radar? And I think it is. I could see this one being a bit more popular. I know that, the auto battler genre has plenty of entries. It's usually not my thing. Like I can enjoy them, like I said, in small bursts, but it's not something I would consistently play. I don't really download the mobile apps. This is finally one that I would want to download the mobile app and just kind of vibe on the couch with. I tried all kinds of different rumblers. They all felt very viable. I didn't feel like I had to pick a specific one to kind of adhere to any meta. Like you mentioned, I wasn't using any legendaries or anything like that. So everything seems pretty well balanced so far. You're definitely getting that casual vibe that you're talking about. You don't want it to be super sweat fest. I'm sure there'll be a mode for that later, though. I'm sure we'll see ranked. We've got leaderboards.
I need one for myself for sure. That'd be one.
You're
Yeah.
like, yeah, I want to get sweaty.
But
Nah.
I appreciate you as well, like, being you, like, testing this as well, because I knew what, this, your mindset around these kind of games, and I was really, curious how you would react to it, and doing this today live and so on. It really, as a developer, it really feels good as well. And there is always room for improvements, but it feels good to have this chat and to have you play the game and discover it today. It's really cool. Thank you for the opportunity. It's
Oh
pretty
yeah,
amazing.
I absolutely love checking out new games. I will go ahead and say that I think one thing that sets this apart and makes it easier for me to play personally, whenever I'm doing PvP against other players, I tend to get stressed because I'm like,
Mm.
I could have done better. I could have done more. Like I start to get frustrated with myself because of the whole player versus player element. Having
Yeah.
this as an asynchronous PvP, I'm technically playing against other players, team compositions and stuff like that, but I'm not directly engaged or competing against a player at this time, at least. It it's a lot more casual. I think that you're nailing a lot. You guys are definitely like your goals are shining here because I don't have that extra element to make me sweat or stress. You see me
Mm.
just throwing down units, throwing out upgrades, and having fun, and that's really what I
Yeah.
think these games should be.
Yeah, I think that I think you're really, like, you're right, spot on this. I think it's really a lot of, like, we talk a lot about, like, competitive anxiety, whereas, like, you have to perform in a certain way, with your role. And I think it really is that trying to, and it starts from the design. Like, the design has to be there to minimize competitive anxiety as much as you can. But also, like, the game still provides opportunities for people to dive into, like, if they want
Mm-hmm.
to be sweaty, they can. If they want to be, like, mastermind about, like, how to best utilize all the ramblers, and they can, but they don't have to.
Yeah.
It can be progressive, or you don't have to mind it, but the opportunities are there. And I could imagine, yeah, in the future, a mode where it's like, this is for the people who really have to care about it. And and really, to me, diversity is key to really make sure that, like, you can appeal to a lot of different people, have a great game. And to me, like, because I do love the marketing as well, is really thinking, do it has the game the foundations to actually be ready for mass adoption. This is it. It's that as well. It's like, we're making a game that can be there now, like, through, like, the design itself is there for that. So I'm really excited about that, and it feels great to hear that from multiple people who've had early access as well. It's like, yeah, it's laid back, but you're right, that can be sweaty. I know a few content creators that have been quite sweaty on Twitter about it, and I've enjoyed that as well.
I
so
have moments like
yeah.
I prefer the casual chill experience, but when
Yeah.
everybody's like, "Hey boys, let's load up and go drop somewhere," I'm like, "Let's do it."
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. This has been awesome. Very awesome.
I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come hang out with us. Did you have anything that you wanted to add before we wrap things up?
No, I just want to thank the board community, who has been supporting Tribal Games and now Rumble Arcade since we announced. I think they have been very patient with us, and I think now we can really, showcase that they were, we had our reasons for it, and all of our flamey holders as well, who've, going to utilize those flamies now. I think it's really cool, the kind of, the response we've received, and it's really exciting time. I want to thank, everyone, and also everyone else, all the other studios and making games, and people like you trying to push the space forward with innovation and realistic takes on the challenges and what we are achieving, success and failures, and room for improvements. So thank you to everyone, and I'm really excited about what's coming next, and I'm really excited about the playtest as well. So thank you very much.
I'm excited too. I'm definitely gonna have to get in when I can. Obviously, there's a lot of playtests going on right now, so I'm not making any promises to anybody. I've already made a lot of promises, but I'm gonna do what I can to continue
Sounds
supporting the
good.
Web3 space as much as I can. But that being said, that is going to be a wrap for us, folks. Thank you for tuning in to another exhilarating episode of the Block Sauce. But before we bid you farewell, I want to say thank you again, Nico, for taking time out of your day to join us. We also couldn't have done it without our amazing viewers and supporters. As Nico mentioned, thank you to all the community members out there supporting these projects and being patient. Development takes time. It's going to be a bit before we start seeing the final versions of a lot of these games. But remember, the sauce never stops flowing. Stay connected with us on social media. Share your thoughts and suggest future topics with us. Your voice does matter, and we want to hear it. That's going to be it for today, sauce enthusiasts. So join us next time for another thrilling episode of The Block Sauce, where we'll keep the gaming flame alive and the discussion sizzling. Stay saucy and keep gaming in the exciting realm of Web3.